We are live. Okay, EBN TV is back on a bank holiday Monday. I should really have some sort of script for these because I never actually think about what I'm going to say. I'm just more like, okay, who have we got here? What do I need to talk to them about? That's all I need to worry about. So I will introduce who I've got here today. So Chris Mason from Jeccl TV. Chris is a member in the Braintree group of EBN, and he's given up a little slice of his bank holiday because clearly he has no life other than working, just like me.
Thanks for throwing that one out there.
Well, it's about, most people are out enjoying. I don't know. It's been raining a bit, but I think it's still sunshiny outside. So most people are out, relaxing on a bank holiday. Although we are in our pool house, as we realised when we both the same background.
I've just looked out the window and I can see nothing but grey in the sky. So there were some spots of sun on my way down the A12 today, but lots of people standing out to watch the VE Day flyover of all the aeroplanes.
Oh, I did not know that was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I missed it.
Fair enough. I saw the tail end of it.
Oh, okay. Lovely. So, yeah, we're going to have a little chat to Chris about all things IT.
Yes.
So, Chris, tell us about Jeccl. How long have you been in business for?
That's never a good start. I'm having to sit there and go, well, I think it was 2018. The company came into existence, but we didn't start trading until 2019. So that puts us in June this year, 6 years old.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So,
brilliant. Whenever somebody says, 2019, 2018, it feels like a few years ago. But then I have to mentally think, oh, my God, it's 2025 and work out that is actually quite a long time, really.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a question. Where did the name Jeccl come from?
Okay, so when I wanted to set the company up, I wanted it to have some tie to me. And it was suggested, why don't you have like Chris's computer corner and things like that? And it's like, I want it to link to me, but I don't really want my face plastered over everything. So I spoke to a friend of mine and said, how did you come up with a company name for your company? And he said, I just wrote down all the initials of everyone in the family and then just sat there and worked everything around to create it. So I thought, okay, let's try doing something like that, but with my own initials. And I came up with JECCL. James and Edward are the JE, which are my middle names.
Oh.
CCL, Computer Consultants, and the Limited on the end. So, James Edwards, Computer Consultants Limited. It's me, my middle names, tells you exactly what we do and the fact we're a limited company.
Wow. I never knew that, so thank you very much. I've often wondered, when people have unusual company names, there's normally a story behind it. So I always find that quite interesting, so thank you. So, Chris, tell us a little bit about what keeps you out of mischief then, in terms of all things IT. What keeps you busy?
To be honest, anything to do with processors and plugs keeps me busy. We these days we're doing a lot of cloud-based stuff, Microsoft 365, emails. We're doing email migrations to move people from Google Workspace or from hosted IMAP services over to Microsoft. We also do quite a lot of supply and installation. So customers that need their machines replacing, or they're setting up a new business venture and they're not 100% sure what they need. We sort of go out, look, and recommend exactly the system that they need that works for them. I take quite a lot of pride in saying that, I'll never sell something that isn't fit for purpose. It's no point. It's a false economy for everyone. So yeah, I've been doing this a long time now, so I sort of have a good idea of what's going to work for people. But it's quite a mix of stuff that I get up to on a day-to-day basis.
And I mean, like, in terms of when people are, say like they need a new laptop or a new PC and things, there's so much choice out there, isn't there? Like, and it can be a bit confusing because you don't really know what, unless you work in that world, you don't necessarily really know what all the bits and pieces mean when it comes to storage and data storage and things, and the memory on it, and what all the little numbers and letters are supposed to mean, and if it's what you need or it's what you not need, or if you're just getting sold a shiny thing and told it's really great, but actually it's not really fit for purpose for what you need it for. So I guess you have you have a lot of ways that you can help people in terms of understanding what's out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, quite often we come across a client that's been recommended to us, and they're getting to that stage where they're taking on some more staff, so they're growing, and the director hasn't got the time to sort of look after the IT system, and their sort of process is, welcome to your new job, here's £300, go to PC World, buy yourself a laptop, job done. And it's like, in actual fact, that's a really bad way of doing things. I've had people say to me, I bought that laptop because it's purple and I like purple.
I mean,
Okay.
I would be very drawn to that sort of thing myself, so I'm not going to comment.
Yeah, so I mean, I actually did the maths on it on a blog post not too long ago, and it worked out that if you spend about 20 minutes a day just waiting on your PC to do something, that little spinning wheel of death or something like that, or booting up, installing updates, whatever it is, 20 minutes a day is the equivalent on what was minimum wage pre-April, is about £1,000 a year.
No way.
It's about £1,000 a year for 20 minutes a day that you're paying somebody to sit there and do nothing. So that £1,000 would be a much better investment spent on a new machine which will massively eliminate that. But it's not just a case of going out and saying, well, I'm going to buy £1,000 laptop, it's going to do everything I need it to do. You actually need to know what the capabilities are, depending on what your use case is. If, for argument's sake, if you're an accountant, you don't really need a graphics card. You're not going to be playing games on there. You want a multi-core processor, so you can do all your different Word documents and your spreadsheets and access the cloud and bits and pieces like that. But if you want to start doing video editing, then you sit there and go, well, actually, you probably should get a graphics card in there. So maybe you don't need quite as powerful processor. So instead of buying a £1,000 laptop that's got an i7 in it, go for an i5 that's got a 4 gig graphics card with it, because it's going to be better suited for what you need.
Yeah, I think that's really important, and I had never actually even thought about what it would cost somebody in terms of downtime, effectively. If you're employing somebody like that, I mean that's huge. That's a lot of money you could be potentially wasting just because you haven't got the right equipment in place. So it's that sort of real life difference, I guess, that you can make to people, isn't it, in their businesses?
Absolutely. One of my clients, I got introduced to them a number of years ago, and I put a new desktop in for him. We replaced the laptop that he bought, I don't know, 6 years before for a few £100. We replaced it with a desktop. And I saw him about 2 weeks later, and he said, Chris, you revolutionised my business. I said, have I? He said, yeah. He said, no longer am I having to say to people, I'll phone you back because I've got to wait for this PDF to open up before I can actually see it. And I was like, oh, okay. So over a period of the next year or so, we went through and replaced all of their machines, and that was, I don't know, 5 years ago, and they're still a client now.
Yeah. And it is so frustrating when you're trying to do something and your computer just will not do the thing that you want to do, because it is, oh my God, it's the most frustrating thing, I think, probably, if you're running a business and you cannot get your PC or your laptop to open the thing, to do the thing, to stop freezing, or it just makes you want to throw it all out the window and just smash it up. That might just be me, but we're used to things being in an instant, aren't we? In a flash, and when they're not, oh my God, it's just so frustrating.
Yeah, we're definitely used to speed these days, because everything we want, whether it's to watch a film or watch a TV show, access any of our web-based services, it's all in an instant. We stream everything; it's all there. straight away from us. And I've had a few people over the years saying, I couldn't do what you do, Chris. It must be so frustrating sitting there at that PC. I go, absolutely. I understand the frustration, with my own equipment, And I do exactly what you do. I get, maybe a little bit upset about how long things are taking. When it comes to my own stuff, customer stuff, I just it's just proving my point. That we spend so much time doing this. So why don't we, modernise, update maybe and make a change, and move things forwards.
And on that note of kind of updating and making changes, are you coming across many people who are having to think about upgrading stuff because they're on an ancient Windows 10 device, or was everybody in the Windows 11 era?
So yes, in October, Microsoft will stop supporting Windows 10. So you're going to have to replace it with Windows 11. Now, there's a few bits to it. A lot of machines can support it. They just need to click the button to download it. If you go onto your chosen search engine and look for the PC Health Check app, you can download that from Microsoft, and it will tell you if you can run it or if you can't and the reasons why. What it does require is a change of hardware. It requires what's called a TPM 2.0 to run Windows 11. So if your PC doesn't have one of them, you're going to have to replace it. There's no way around it. That being said, I do know somebody who has only recently got rid of Windows 7 in the last year or two.
7?
Yes, yeah. And quite often we have a conversation and he says, we should have just stuck with Windows XP. So there are a few people that like to, cut against the grain, and you have to sort of drag them kicking and streaming.
Like, why? Surely, like, I know that normally we all want whatever's the new thing.
No. People don't like change. There's companies out there that do change management. They go into companies and help people and employees accept change and things like that. Myself, I like all the latest and greatest. I like the latest mobile phones, the latest gadgets, the cars. If it's techy, I just sort of love it. I think it's great.
Yeah.
But it is an expensive hobby, a very expensive hobby. With the price of what mobile phones are these days, and if you want an electric car, they tend to be quite high in price as well. Lots of bells and whistles and fun and stuff if you like that sort of thing, which I do. But there's a lot of people out there that if it works, leave it alone. Okay, that's what the NHS did, and we sort of look at what happened with the heartbeat virus a few years ago. Yeah, like big problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot to it, but the recommendation for me is always install your updates. Have a plan in place to ideally replace your tech stuff every 3 years. If you can't afford to do that, plan to do preventative maintenance at about 3 years old and replace it by the time it gets to 6 years old, because then it's generally considered end of life. So a lot of things won't be supported going forwards after 6 years.
Wow, so we have palliative care for
we do.
And computers.
Oh yes, we do. Yeah, certainly.
Oh wow. Okay. And what are there any kind of big trends in the IT world? Because there's lots of talk about obviously so many different cloud-based services and things like that. Is that kind of the way that everything will be heading towards and where we'll be in the future or quite soon?
Yes, I think a lot of people are scared of the cloud, and they don't really need to be, because if things are unmanaged properly and you've got people like me in place to help keep things safe and secure, then it's a relatively safe space to operate in. But we don't install servers now. It's just not really a done thing because nobody really needs them, because you can use things like Microsoft Azure and you can do it all based in the cloud.
Mm-hmm.
Your endpoints, the PCs you actually have sitting on your desk, they don't necessarily have to be the most powerful things anymore, because all the processing is done in the cloud. All you need is a thin client to log you in and just process your local graphics.
Okay.
So there is a lot of change coming about, but again, it's change, and people are scared of change. You know, and also there is the argument of that you're actually reliant on other people. And a lot of people, particularly business owners, find it hard to delegate and to pass off some of their responsibilities and their trust. So we all rely on the internet, and we all put our trust that our internet service provider is going to keep us online.
Yeah.
If you've got no internet and all of your files are stored in the cloud, well, you can't really work because so you have that reliance on that. So you can mitigate that by putting in 4G failovers and things like that, or load balancing routers that work off of two separate lines provided by two different companies. So if one has a problem, hopefully the other one won't. There's things you can do to sort of mitigate those circumstances. And with the advent of 5G, it's ridiculous. But when I go travelling, if I notice my phone says it's on 5G, I do a speed test just because I'm curious as to how fast it runs. And over at Ipswich, I'm standing outside Tesco's. I can download at 900 megabytes a second. It's a huge amount. Whereas the little village I live in, I'm lucky to get 32 on a good day. So these things are coming about and can make a change. So I think there's going to be a lot of change in the industry coming up. Particularly around cyber and things like that, cybersecurity and cyber essentials and things.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about cyber essentials, isn't there? And I guess unless you've actually spent some time looking into it and understanding what it is, it's not. I know we've had a conversation about it before, haven't we? And at the moment, not everybody needs to have it in their business. It depends what sort of, they want to go for contract work with government agencies and things like that, and then it becomes essential, as the name would suggest. But I know when we've spoken about it, you've said that really, actually, everybody needs to be working towards that at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the UK government want to make the UK the safest place to do business online.
Yeah.
So we have to have a benchmark to be able to test that. And Cyber Essentials is that benchmark, really, that we should all strive to achieve. We can go out there because it keeps us safe and secure. It can help lower your insurance premiums. Mm-hmm. I don't want to speak ill of the insurance industry because they've been pretty good with my most recent car accident. To be fair, but people will commonly say, well, they'll just try and get out of paying out. They're just not going to pay out. If they can find any loophole not to pay out, they'll find any loophole not to pay out. But if you haven't got cyber essentials and something happens and you go to claim on your business insurance, they're going to say, well, what have you done to actually look after your customer data or anything like that, or this private information that you should be registered with the ICO because you're a data processor and controller. What did you do? And people go, well, we didn't do anything. Well, why not? Why didn't you do anything? It's like, well, we didn't. They plead ignorance, I think, a lot of the time. And unfortunately, the insurers will go, well, you didn't do the bare minimums that we stipulated in your insurance agreement, which was that you have to have a password policy, you have to make your passwords expire, you have to have a process and a procedure in place for what happens if this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
That's a lot of the thing with being registered with the ICO is about. It's about making sure you're doing the best, not just for your own data, but for your customers' data, because you're the responsible party.
Yeah, and that was the biggest thing for me. And obviously, when I asked you about, different various things that I needed to make sure that I had in place for my cyber insurance policy. Shout out to Ryan at Brent's because he's great and does all the insurance. And a lot of it is pretty basic, straightforward stuff that you're doing anyway. You just might not realise that actually it's taken care of, and it's just probably making a note of things and actually being able to prove that you are being on top of passwords and various things like that. But for me, it was massively making sure that everybody's data is safe. I wasn't looking at it from my personal perspective, I was looking at it from my members' perspective, because I've got their data. So I want to make sure that I'm doing absolutely everything possible, that, it's not, I'm not leaving anything wide open for people to come and take. And obviously there are, I mean, most sort of providers of any sort of systems and processes and platforms that we use tend to have their own protocols and policies in place, but you still have that level of responsibility in your own business, don't you?
Yeah.
It's important.
I mean, that's a very sort of customer centric approach to it, of thinking about your customers, your clients. The other side to look at is when you're registered with the ICO, you're the responsible party.
Yes.
So even in the workplace, if something should happen, you can be held liable personally, not just the company. And I don't think a lot of people realise that when they had a conversation with a company in the last fortnight about that, because she's filled out all the paperwork. Now, so you understand that you're responsible, and at the moment you don't have any cyber security, you've got no policies in place, no password, anything like that. You can be held personally responsible for this. And she was like, seriously? And I was like, yeah. You can. It's the responsible parties.
Mm.
It is terrifying and scary when you think of what the fines can be. Some things can lead to prison sentences and all this sort of stuff. And you have a responsibility to notify the ICO should there be a data breach or anything like that. Most people aren't aware of the fact they've already signed their document with the ICO to say, yes, if something happens, we're going to do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And they're not aware of that. So a lot of cyber stuff is down to awareness, and a lot of, I think it's something ridiculous, like 96% of successful cyber attacks are only successful because of human error.
Yes, yeah. I went to I think it was the Eastern, what is it called? Eastern Cyber Resilience.
The Cyber Resilience Centre.
Yeah, they're great. They're really great. They give out a lot of great information, and the figures that they talk about, it is unbelievable, the amount of cyber attacks that go on, and people always, and I wrongly thought, nobody's going to be interested in my little old company, when there are massive companies out there where it would be much more beneficial for somebody to get in. But and how they explain to me, it doesn't matter. They're not interested in that. It's basically a case of trying all the door handles and going in whichever one opens.
Exactly that. To put a statistic to it, Microsoft defend 7 trillion attacks a day on their systems. 7 trillion. It is a ridiculous number of attacks that they defend. Yeah. So you could sit there and go, for argument's sake, I'm going to be a bad actor. I'm going to try and hack. Who am I going to take on? Somebody like Microsoft, who's spending the money on their defence, or am I going to tackle loads of small local businesses because they're probably not spending anything at all on their defence?
Yeah.
So people sit there and go, well, it will never happen to me. It's not going to happen to me. Well, unfortunately, it can happen to everyone.
Yeah, it's quite scary actually when you hear the statistics and when you listen to those guys speak, and how much cybercrime there is happening that we just don't know about because it is little companies. And we all hear about the big ones when something goes wrong, but it could just as easily be little Joe Blogs with a little sole trader business. And I tell you what, I come across a surprising number of people who don't even know what the ICO are and know that they need to be registered with the ICO. That's quite eye-opening as well.
Yeah.
Very scary, very scary. If you had to give some people a few top tips in terms of IT that people could do to maybe either keep themselves safe or things to look out for when it comes to Windows 10, cloud computing, any of the things that we've talked about, cyber essentials, etc. Have you got some kind of top tips? Obviously, the biggest one is going to be contact you, right? But other than that,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously contacting me, even if it's nothing to do with IT, I'm a big fan of dogs, cars, motorbikes. So, if you want to stop in and have a cup of tea and a chat, more than happy to do that. But on the IT side of things, I think most IT companies will say, make sure your systems are up to date, make sure you've installed all your updates, make sure you've got an up-to-date antivirus. There are a lot of free ones out there, but it is very much a case of you get what you pay for. So it's worth having a paid-for system. Also, when you're running your or buying your next machine, a lot of the time they will come with Windows 10 or 11, and it will be home. Yeah. What you want is the Pro version, because the Pro versions include advanced security settings such as BitLocker, so you can do hard drive encryption and things like that. So that's one thing to definitely, if you're running a business and you've got PCs in there, you need to be running the Pro version, not the home version. And then you need to make sure all of your security stuff is enabled. The other thing to do is talk to people, because this is all about, a lot of this stuff is about awareness. You don't have to ask many people that in that big of a group to find somebody who's fallen victim to something. You can get some real world stories from people. Ask them, what did you do? And they'll go, oh, actually, I spoke to this person and we did this, and this. So we've got this solution going forwards. We all like a recommendation, that personal sort of touch to it. So, yeah, talk to people, ask questions, and make sure things are up to date. Don't let them get too old. Make sure you've got processes and policies in place. If you haven't got any, speak to me, because we're starting to do cyber essentials for our clients and putting them through their paces, basically, to make sure all of their systems are as bulletproof as we can make them. And the government have come out and basically said everyone needs to be cyber essentials registered if you want to start working with local councils, governments, schools, all that kind of stuff. And it's going to start having a weighted allowance or a heavier weight to it when you start going into local tenders.
Yep.
At the moment, a lot of places do it based on your availability, how quick can you do the job, and how cheap can you do the job.
Mm-hmm.
But the cyber essentials, whether you have it or not, is going to start racking up a lot more weight behind it.
Right, that's really important for people to know, isn't it? Because the tendering process is it's just a nightmare anyway. So to throw something else into the mix, but actually you could get that one knocked off pretty quickly if you're working with someone like you. It should be quite an easy one to satisfy, really.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can ask the questions, we can poke the systems, find out the information, and give you a full report on where you're at, whether you're going to pass or fail cyber essentials. We can get you to that level where you're going to pass, because we can document everything, put it all together for you, and then we call in an assessor. That's an independent assessor. They're not related to us or connected to us at all. They come in, go through all the systems, and go, yeah. There you go. You've got your cyber essentials certificate.
Perfect, brilliant. And you're based in Chelmsford, aren't you, Chris? But you cover pretty much anywhere people want you to go, don't you?
Pretty much. I mean, we've gone as far up as the Orkney Isles. We've done
that's quite far.
That's quite far. We've done a couple of bits for people in Spain. We've done stuff for people in Portugal and Dubai, and we've also done stuff closer to home over in Wales. I've not quite made it to the Isle of Wight yet. Not work-based anyway.
That means, though, you could expense a trip to Dubai and Portugal and everything, couldn't you?
Quite possibly. I mean, I did have some time in Lanzarote this year, and there were some conversations about whether we could claim this as business expenses, because we were doing a lot of business stuff while we were there, and discussing various sort of systems we can put in place and things like that to sort of help all of our businesses. Because one of the things is when you work for yourself, it can be quite a lonely place.
Yeah.
So having friends who also understand that, because they work for themselves, you could get your little community together. So at the moment, I haven't made a decision on whether I'm claiming my Lanzarote trip. I'm going to have to speak to the accountants and see what they say.
yeah, that's going to be the make or break decision, isn't it, around that?
Yes, yeah, it's all down to them. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We listen to the accountants. That's why they're chartered. That's why they're very good at what they do. Yeah,
yeah. But you're absolutely right, and that's why there's such a big place that exists in the world for networking, and it does get lonely. You even though we're all working differently, most people are working differently since COVID and everything. We still need that human connection, and a lot of the time we got into this online way of doing everything, didn't we, in lockdown? And a lot of people have stayed in that online world, but there's such a massive place for meeting up with people actually in real life, in person. And certainly within EBN, all the groups we've got, they're so supportive of each other, all the members. If someone needs something, or if someone wants help with something, or somebody's having a bad day or a rough time and wants people to talk to, the groups are just perfect for that. And it's lovely actually going around to all the different groups, because they're all the same in their little groups of people, and just having somebody else to vent to is sometimes like just what you need to I don't know, maybe work through a particular situation that's been driving you nuts in your own head, and then when you get it out and other people kind of chip in a little bit, you realise actually perhaps it's not so bad and there's a solution.
yeah. I mean, I set myself a challenge last year to do 65 in-person networking events, and it was great. I mean, it's definitely changed me. It's definitely changed my business as well. So I have a lot of time for it. I enjoy networking. It's great, and I've made connections with people over the years that have lasted years. Sometimes that's sort of gone beyond just being acquaintances in work, and to the point where you're friends and you go around each other's houses and things like that to have barbecues and cups of tea and things. And that's the great thing that comes out of networking.
Yeah, I mean, same. I've made some great people who have developed sort of longer lasting friendships. Which is just it's just amazing. It's just a byproduct of networking that people don't realise. And you can develop some really, really great relationships, and it goes far beyond anything business related. And that's so important. Where do we go to make friends as adults? Like, we're not in school. Do you know what I mean?
It is very hard. But I've found what works for me is an organisation called Roundtable.
But Chris, you're in so many things. Chris is like the font of all knowledge. If you need somebody, like, I thought I was connected to quite a few people and know quite a lot of people, but Chris is like a whole nother level.
Yeah. I mean, I've been around for quite a while now. Doing my thing, and it was. I still remember it. We were at an FSB East of England, I think it was, networking during COVID, and somebody said, wouldn't it be great if we could potentially talk to somebody who's got something to do with the space industry? And I was like, okay, I'm going to stay behind at the end of this one, because I know somebody who's got quite a few contacts in the space industry.
Of course you do.
And you sort of sit there, and there's two of you sitting there having this conversation. Oh, how do you know? And this person, member of my family, works for NASA. And I was like, oh, well, this person I know was working on like Mars rover stuff, and then we've got this one that's working on Starlink stuff, and this one's doing satellites. And you sort of realise, actually, what a big, completely bizarre, random topic to bring up in a conversation was that actually there's a couple of us that are all know people in the space industry. Right. Yeah,
That's
if
crazy.
you sit there and say, "Do you know an IT guy?" Pretty much everybody goes, "Yeah, I know an IT guy." Do you know any accountants? Yeah, I know some accountants. Know somebody in insurance? Yes, absolutely, we know people in insurance. You know, there's loads. It's just the way it is. But space industry, and it's nobody seems to know anybody. But
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I would be stumped at that one. But I'll just send them to you now if I get asked.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that's quite helpful. So what sort of stuff do you do with the round table? Is it a bit like is it one of these cult things?
I mean, I definitely would get shot if I said it was a cult, but it's not a cult. It was set up in Norwich by a guy called Louis Marchese, and it was for the young businessmen of Norwich to basically come together and do some stuff for charity, have their little social group and things like that. But it's now branched out into an international organisation. We are across the world. You don't have to be a young businessman to join Roundtable or anything like that. You just have to be a person who's 18 to 45 who wants to, do some stuff in their local communities or raise some money, but also to have a social group. For me, it's given me opportunities I never thought I'd have, such as running a fireworks display for 4,000 people in the middle of Chelmsford City. Like,
And a little birdie tells me it was the run that raised the most money ever as well, Chris, wasn't it?
yes, basically, yeah, yeah. With the current restrictions that we have, yes, I was the most successful chairman in 49 years, I believe it was. So, yeah, it's a fascinating thing. But we've done all sorts. We go camping. We do a thing called Euro Meeting, which is actually being hosted by Chelmsford this year. So we're getting people from all across Europe who have the same number or a similar number to us, joining us in Chelmsford for a few days. We're doing some historical stuff. We're doing a nice, posh, formal dinner, and we're home hosting as well. So we've got friends from all across Europe staying in our homes, and that's one of the joys of Roundtable. I've been to networking events wearing my Roundtable pin, and people have come up to me and shook my hand and gone, "Oh, what table are you in?" Because they were in table or they're in table, and you sort of have these conversations. So, as an example, I was in Sweden at the start of the year with Roundtable, seeing some of our Swedish friends. And we were at their formal dinner because they do a charity auction and things like that. So it was great fun. And they've gone, oh, Chris, have a chat to this guy on this. I'm an Android user, so it's whatever the Face iCloud thingy, whatever
Yeah.
it is, video chat on the iPhone thing. And we're chatting away, and he's like, "Oh yeah." So basically, he was a Swedish tabler. He then moved to London. So they're like, "Oh well, Chelmsford's not far from London, and we do stuff in London and things like that. Maybe you've met. Never seen him before in my life." About 2 months after that, I've gone off to an event. Run by Roundtable to basically teach us how to make table great for the next generation of tablers that are starting to come through. And there was a bloke sitting there, and I've gone, "I know you. Where do I know you from?" And I said, "Oh, by the way, so at the end of January, did you get a video call from a couple of the guys in Sweden to introduce you to some Englishmen?" And he said, "Yes." He said, "I know you." What are the chances of that this has happened across two countries, 2 months apart, like that we've both ended up in the same place at the same event, being run by Roundtable? You just all these little things. So, yeah, for social, it's brilliant. It's amazing. I've now got a group of 25 friends, that you can count on. And sometimes you are going out and having a drink. Sometimes you're going bowling. Sometimes you're marshalling a walk point for the Chelmsford Half Marathon. Sometimes you're travelling across the country, to go and meet some other tablers, or doing all sorts of things. It's been absolutely amazing for me, and I'd recommend anybody to do it. And I know I've said you've got to be 18 to 45. In the UK, it's 18 to 45. If you're a man, you join Roundtable, and if you're a lady, you join Ladies Circle. And then when you get over 45, you will join the 41 Club or Tangent. So we have these 4 clubs across the country in the UK and across the world, really. And it's fantastic. It's brilliant. Genuinely, one of the best things I've ever done.
It's all about experiences, isn't it? And life. That's don't want it too deep and meaningful, but actually, life is all about having experiences, isn't it?
Absolutely.
When you get old, you know, you're going to look back on memories and experiences that you had, and you've got to kind of make the most of opportunities that come your way. And this sounds like a really great way of being able to access lots of stuff that you probably wouldn't normally otherwise ever consider doing at any point ever.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's given me that that opportunity to run and manage an event for 4,000 people. I never thought I'd ever be in a position to do anything like that, or ever have the confidence to attempt to do something like that.
I mean,
So
yeah,
I've got a lot of that out of Round Table.
yeah, and that's huge. You can't put a price on that. You can't learn that. You just have to do it.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's pretty phenomenal. And you're also part of another secret club, aren't you, Chris?
I'm part of a few secret clubs.
Not ones with any weird handshakes, though.
To be fair, the weirdest handshake I've come across is the handshake for the Buffalo Club.
The Buffalo Club?
Yeah.
Is it a club where you all eat buffalo wings?
No, unfortunately, it's not that tasty. It is based on drinking alcohol usually. So, but yeah, that's a unique one.
Is there a rodeo thing, like bucking bronco thing involved? Because I feel like buffalo drinking, there needs to be some sort of bucking bronco.
I've never met anybody tell me anything about that through the buffaloes. The only time I've ever witnessed one of them was when I was at university, and that was before I joined any other clubs. So, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I'm very excited because Chris is a member of a very exclusive private members club in Chelmsford. We have our very first EBN awards happening in the summer, and we are using said private members club for our awards night, which I'm so excited about. And we are just on the cusp of launching the awards for people to enter. I've just got some tweaking to do before I'm completely 100% happy. But they are going to be coming out over the next few days. That's very exciting. But obviously the party at the end for where we'll be dishing out the awards and we'll be getting the whole network together in this beautiful venue is super exciting, and I just absolutely love that place. If I could go there every day, I would.
Yeah, so the Chelmsford Club is 141 years old this year. We are in a Victorian mansion just outside the city centre. The amount of history that's there, if you're interested in history, is phenomenal. But it is a very, very grand building. So it's going to be an amazing event in an amazing venue. Hopefully, with the entire amazing EBN family there.
Yes.
It is just going to be fantastic. It's been in my calendar since I first heard about it. So I'm quite excited, if I'm honest, about going.
So am I. I'm very excited. I've taken delivery this week of many things for the awards night, and I'm so excited about them all. I can't wait. Oh my god, it's so cool. EBN Awards, 11th of July. You've got to be in it to win it. It's open for all EBN members. So if anybody has been on the edge of thinking about joining EBN, there will be a cut-off point. We can't have anybody just just entering, having only joined us like 12 hours before, because it's not fair on everybody else, really. So there will be a cut-off point. So if you're thinking about joining and becoming a member, it's time to get in quick. So yeah, the Chelmsford Club is amazing, and they've got they have it is this month of May, isn't it? Is it the month of May? They do something for potential members.
Yes, so we have, for the first time ever, opens the club up to non-members to come and have a trial experience to see what the club is all about.
Yeah.
You'll get to sample the menu, you'll get to meet the staff, you'll get to use the snooker table, you can use the hub upstairs, you can enjoy the gardens, of which we have done a huge amount of work recently. We've got an outdoor kitchen going in, outdoor barbecue area, we have a pétanque piste. We've planted everything up. We've had some new stone put down. We are going great guns on the garden at the moment. But yes, if you'd like to know more about that, reach out to me or send an email to secretary@thechelmsfordclub.co.uk, and they will give you all of the details about how to get involved and what you can expect.
Yeah, it's definitely worth, if you're in the Chelmsford area or you spend a lot of time going to Chelmsford, it's 100% worth taking up, especially when there's this, opportunity to have a kind of month's free membership, as it were, and just to use it, because it's great. If you've if your base is around there, I wish I was based there, because I wanted to be in that club all the time, but I can't. It doesn't really make sense for me living in Clacton, or I do. However, if anything changes and I happen to meet a rich millionaire who decides that we're going to live in Chelmsford, then I'll become a member. Until that point, I'm probably going to stay here.
That's fair enough.
But it's been really nice to thank you for coming on and sharing some stuff about what's going on in your world. We now I've got to try and get this right. It's on the screen. Braintree. Is it this week or next week? It's next week, isn't it?
Braintree is next week.
Next week, yes. I have all of these in my head, and sometimes they get a bit muddled. So yeah, Chris is a member of our Braintree EBN groups. That meets every other Wednesday. So the next one is Wednesday next week. It's a nice early start, 7 a.m. So all done and dusted before 9 o'clock. So if you want to go along and see Chris, chew his ear off a little bit about some of the stuff that he's talked about today, then come along to Braintree next week. Chris does network in other areas, I should say. He's an avid networker, but obviously the EBN one's where we want you to come. Other EBN groups are available. I've just launched, Chris, as well, and I'll tell everybody here, a speed networking event in Rochford at the Westcliff Rugby Club, which is next to the launch pad. That's a collaboration event between myself and FSB and Rochford Council as well. We could fit about 120 people in, so we're basically going to do a mega speed networking event. So it's going to be epic. So that is all available for people to book.
I've done some of these speed networkings and they've been fantastic. I've really enjoyed them. And I've just sitting here trying to do the maths in my head. 120 people, pair them up, that's 60 people, 60 pairs. 4 minutes each. You're going to be there for what, 4 hours? Well, that is.
Yeah, we know that our speed networking events always sell out, and we know that we always have to cap them because of the room size. But we don't have to cap this because of room size, because the room is massive. We can section it off into 2 halves. We're not expecting to get that many people. However, it should be a lot bigger than our previous ones, and they're such good fun. It's really good fun, and we always get the same feedback that actually this is the best networking that we've been to, because you just talk to so many more people than you would normally at a regular networking. If you go to a kind of free for all networking, and you just have to kind of just insert yourself into conversations and talk to people, and it can be a bit awkward, and there's none of that, because you're just like, right, okay, I've got 2 minutes to speak, and then you just say who you are and what you do, and it's kind of done and dusted, and there's not time to think about being nervous and not knowing what to say, and that kind of stuff that often comes along with networking. So speed networking Rochford. It is on the 2nd of June, which is a Monday, and they do an amazing lunch. We're having a charcuterie board, which just looks amazing, and they told us everything that was in it. We were like, yeah, we'll have that. Rochford Council are part sponsoring it, so it means that tickets for FSB members and EBN members are only £5. So it's a bargain for lunch as well, a very nice lunch as well. It's on Eventbrite. So anybody who wants to get along to Rochford for some speed networking next month, get in. Right, we've managed to talk for 50 minutes.
We have.
These things go so quickly, and
time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, doesn't it? Just. Do you have any plans for this evening?
I'm going to the cinema.
Oh, what are you going to watch?
I am going to go and watch The Accountant 2.
I haven't seen The Accountant 1, but I remember you talking about it at networking, and I just kept quiet because I've not actually seen it, but everyone was saying what an amazing film it is, and I didn't say anything because I feel like I've missed out, and that I've kind of, so what is it about? It's not about an accountant, is it?
He is an accountant.
Oh,
he is an accountant. Yeah, I mean, I can probably give you some of the spoilers, but yes, he is an accountant. He goes out and he finds anomalies and things like that. But he is also very, very skilled with guns and weapons and things like that. So,
so is he like a hitman accountant?
He's for hire,
right?
But he works out various things, and then he gets targeted by somebody he knows quite well, who's working for some bad people. So yes, the second film is going to be interesting, very interesting, I think. I mean, the first film, I'll be honest, I had to watch it about 3 times to fully sort of understand it and for it to all make sense. But it is a fantastic film, and I'd recommend it.
Right, well, there we go then. Chris is off to watch an accountant with a gun. Yep. Well, thank you very much for your time. It's been lovely to chat as always. And how's the best way for people to get hold of you, Chris?
So the best thing is connect with me on LinkedIn and send me a message there, or drop me an email. You can find all of our contact details, all of the company's contact details on the website, jeccl.co.uk. There's phone numbers on there and things like that. Or you can just email chris@jeccl.co.uk.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Any IT issues, any questions about the roundtable or the Chelmsford Club, or if you need to be connected with anybody that works in the space industry, hit Chris up and he'll be able to help you. Well, thank you very much. And